going to give you some tips for organizing your piano lessons. Carefully organized routine for every piano lesson that is the same every time can give you a lot more control over your lesson time, and it also gives the student a sense of security and consistency. When my students come into my piano studio, they know what the rules are. They're the same every time, and we always follow the same routine. They know that they are not allowed to use pen. We only use pencil for music books. They know that when they come in, they immediately get their books out and they set them in a particular order up on the music stand. It's just one of those funny little things that it's the same every time, and they know, now I know what's expected of me. Having little consistent things like that can really help a lesson to move much more smoothly. When I was teaching at a Christian school, I would begin every lesson with a short prayer. So that was a really great way to sort of get the kid out of school mode, and now we're into music lesson mode. And so we have about 30 seconds maybe of a prayer to sort of calm down and switch gears. Usually in a music lesson, I watch the clock pretty carefully. We usually spend about 15 minutes on the lesson book, reviewing their old lesson book song, and then assigning a new lesson book song. Lesson book usually takes a little longer because I'm explaining a new concept most of the time. Then we spend 10 minutes on performance book, which is reinforcing the concept that they learned in lesson book, and then we spend the last 5 minutes of the lesson on theory, or if we have a little extra time, we might do flashcards, or we might do some games at the end of the lesson. And my students always know we do lesson book, then we do performance book, then we do theory book, and then we have some sort of extra flashcards or games. And then every once in a while, when I switch things up and I say, let's do theory first, let's be wild and spontaneous, they're like, whoa, cool, something different. Even something as small as that, doing the theory page first, it ends up feeling fresh and new. Even with that routine or that organized plan, don't be afraid to deviate from that. Sometimes we'll spend the entire 30 minutes just learning in one new song in lesson book, and that's all we did. We did one song for 30 minutes, and that might be what we needed. It just depends on the song, it depends on the child, and it depends on the limitations that you have on your time. It's important to have this kind of organization in your lesson because you want to teach that child to take that same organization and do it at home. It's really important to teach the child to teach themselves at home. They need to build a practice plan for themselves in the home. One question that I love to ask my students is, when you're at home, who is your teacher? And they're like, and I say, you! You're the teacher when you're at home. You have to teach yourself. I said, that's my job, is to teach you to be a teacher, to teach yourself when you're at home. And they go, oh, yeah, I'm the teacher. Ha-ha, I have to be my own teacher. And it makes them feel responsible for their own progress. And a lot of the time I'll talk to the parents about this, and I'll talk to the child about this. Where is their piano in the home? Is there a TV right next to the piano? Can we move the piano somewhere else? They need to have an environment at home that is conducive for focused practicing. Some students have parents who are very involved, and so the parent at home will say, all right, now sit down and do your practice. What is the song you're supposed to be doing this week? Okay, let me hear that song. And so they're right on top of things with their child to make sure that the correct songs get practiced for the correct amount of times. Some parents are not as involved, either because the child is older and so they ought to be responsible for their own practice time, or because they just don't have the time. They're not very organized people themselves, and so trying to organize practice time for their child might be more difficult for them. So I try to talk to the student themselves. This is your responsibility. You have to get out your books as soon as you get home and place them in the correct order on the piano, just the way we do here in the lesson. Go ahead and open it up to the correct pages that you're assigned for this week, so that when you walk by the piano, it's already ready to go. You don't have to stop and get your books out. It's already ready for you. That's half the battle, is just getting them to open the book. Most of the time I don't assign a certain amount of time to be practiced. I don't say practice 20 minutes or practice 30 minutes. I'll say practice this song 3 times every day, practice that song 4 4 times every day. And depending on the songs and depending on the child, it might take them a different amount of time. Especially little kids, they don't have a really good idea of time. So to them, 10 minutes or was it 20 minutes, or they don't know how long it's been. But if you say practice this song 3 times, then they know how to count up that they did it 3 times. It's much easier for them to take control of their own organized practice plan. Another great way to get kids thinking as a teacher for themselves is after they've played a song, I won't offer any comment and I'll ask them, what do you think? What did you do well in this song? And then they have to really analyze their own playing and they have to critique themselves and think, well, did I do the legato? Did I count my rhythm? They have to really think about it in order to be able to critique their own work. Some students who have difficulty finding time to practice at home, I'll ask them, what is your schedule like during the day? Maybe you should practice 10 minutes in the morning before you go to school and then practice 10 minutes in the evening. Or I've even had students where I've said, well, what's your favorite show on TV? And they'll tell me and I'll say, okay, well, how long do you spend watching commercials when you watch your favorite show? And they'll say, I don't know, and it's about 10 minutes. For a 30-minute show, 20 minutes of that is actually the show, and 10 minutes of it is commercials. And I'll say, well, why don't you watch your show, and then when a commercial comes on, run to the piano and play your song 1 time, and then you go back and watch your show. And then the next commercial that comes on, go back and play your song 1 time. And some of them, that's just what they need. They're never going to really sit down and practice unless you make it something fun that they can sort of jump back and forth between activities. And, you know, a commercial set will last for 4 minutes or so, 3 minutes maybe. And so in 3 minutes, they can certainly focus enough to be able to play the song once. And it's certainly better than no piano time at all. Sometimes I'll ask kids, well, what do you think you can do to inspire yourself to practice every day? And I'll suggest, you know, when I was a kid, my mom had a jar of M&Ms, and every time I practiced, then I got to get, 3 M&Ms or something. They can make up their own incentives. They can say, okay, after I practice, then I get to watch my favorite TV show. Or after I practice, then I can go play my favorite video game. Or I can have my dessert after dinner, or whatever it might be. Involve them in inspiring themselves and incentivizing themselves to get their practice time done at home. Those are just a few ways that you can organize your lesson time and organize the child's practice time at home. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to comment down below. And if you have any more ideas about how to incentivize kids to practice at home or how to organize a lesson plan for each music lesson, please let me know. I'd love to hear your ideas. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.